Warning: the Chaotic Culture Podcast is a program for mature audiences. The language and content presented in this podcast is of a mature nature that some audiences may not find suitable. Viewer and listener discretion is advised. We are all living in a chaotic period, and this is a creative space where that chaos and social constructs may collide. But it is up to us to embrace and celebrate the culture, but to destroy and survive the chaos. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Chaos Zone. And this is the Chaotic Culture Podcast with Ked the Pro and Law. Please proceed with caution. Good morning, beautiful people. Welcome once again to another edition of the Chaotic Culture Podcast. This is your boy, the loudmouth millennial, the one you know you all love, your boy Ked the Pro, aka KJ, back again on the mic, doing what I love. Made it through another week. You know, this week has been an interesting week to say the least. As far as my personal life, I will say I had to do a lot of traveling, not out of state or out of the city anywhere, just, certain managers couldn't be there because either they didn't feel well or, something had happened. So, of course, I had to step in for those managers. So I really got some good experience going to different branches and helping to manage the situation there while the branch managers were out. That being said, that's really all much of a life update. Thanksgiving is coming up. So I know that while this is an important time for everyone to be with their families, just also remember that we are still in the middle of a pandemic, and unfortunately it has gotten worse. So please, I know that a lot of plans are going to change, but please be safe out here, guys. The state of Virginia is pretty much going back to a 25 per person cap for any public or private events. It's probably for the best. Virginia's numbers aren't exploding like some other states, but the governor here, of course, wants to be he's taking precautions to this, which is right. Considering everything that's been happening around this country from a political standpoint and just from a health standpoint, I am not against his decision and making sure that everyone in the state is safe as possible. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to go home to South Carolina for Thanksgiving because I have a procedure that I have to get taken care of, and they recommend that I not leave the state of Virginia a week prior to. So I will be spending Thanksgiving here in Hampton. Just got to find a way to spend it, obviously. But we'll get there when we get there. Keep me in your prayers, obviously. I think that's what's most important right now, is that I'm not afraid of the procedure, but I do know that with COVID going on, that, that extra risk is involved. So continue to pray for me. Continue to pray for my family. And I pray that I come through this with no debilitating circumstances, and that I will be able to heal and get straight back to it. So in December, of course, there will be maybe a little bit of a break here. That'll give us enough time to go into season 2. I'm going to start over, of course, once the holidays have pretty much concluded. We'll begin fresh with some fresh ideas that I'm really looking forward to. So be on the lookout for that. Shout out to my partners, Law and Nasa. They are not going to be on this episode today. This is a solo episode. But they always know that I support them in any endeavor that they do, and I know that they got my back. hopefully they will be back for the next episode, which is already in the works. So be on the lookout for that. If you haven't checked out any of the prior episodes, please do so. Obviously, there are 15 other episodes and a bonus episode that I want you guys to check out. I'm pretty sure that you'll enjoy it. Once again, of course, I'm doing another interview this week, which is why this episode's solo. However, this episode is going to be slightly different. So it took place through Zoom again, obviously. But I was able to fix the sound issues that we were having on episode 14. So you will be able to at least hear the interviewee as clear as day in this case. This week I'm not actually doing a Hamptonian. I am doing a longtime friend of mine back from South Carolina. We've been friends for about 15 years, and we discussed that in the actual interview itself. Yeah, we've been friends for a good 15 years now because we met when we were about 14, and now obviously we're 29. And we've gone through some life changes. But I think those changes have been for the best for the both of us. And in this episode, of course, we're going to be discussing something that I have experienced with not a lot of experience as an adult anyway. And that's just figuring out relationships. Now, relationships can pretty much mean not only friendships, but also, love interests. In this particular case, we'll focus a little more on romantic relationships, but obviously it's such a broad topic that we can talk about anything in regards to relationships. But of course, I wanted to be sure that I kept the interview short. Well, as short as possible anyway. So the next thing that you're going to hear is my voice and the voice of Miss Alesa Danielle, who is currently residing in Atlanta, Georgia. Don't move. She's coming up next. So, ladies and gentlemen, my guest joining me today, actually, I'm breaking away a little bit. I'm not going to be doing a Hamptonian this week. Actually, this is somebody who has been my friend for, who knows how long. I guess running up, I'm trying to think. We were like, what, 15?
5.
5, yes, maybe?
Yeah, because that's when I started coming to the church.
Yeah, so, 5, good. So 15 years?
Yeah. Oh, God.
Sheesh, man, look. These years been coming and going, but yeah, so we pretty much met around 05, about the time that we started high school. Really dope person that I'm talking to here. I know for a fact that like we've always had each other's backs, so it's been such a long time since we've actually seen each other.
I know.
I guess we are going on 7-8 years now.
Because I haven't seen you since I left Charleston. I don't think.
Maybe actually no. It's been 6 because Riley's 8 now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, last time I saw her, she was 2. So okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So with that, guys, I definitely want to introduce my friend here, Alesa Danielle McCoy. I call her Danny for sure. Everybody calls her Danielle, but I either call her either Alesa or Danny. Like I try to keep our friendship, a little more personal. But first and foremost, how have you been, ma'am?
Oh, Jesus. How have I not been? I've been good. Anybody can say, of course, definitely dealing with this pandemic going on.
Right.
It's been tough, it's been rough, but you always got to find a better and a silver lining in things. But of course, I'm working, mom to my baby, and doing real estate school. So I've been just trying to keep busy
Okay. Oh, you
for the
getting into
most
real
part.
estate?
Mm-hmm.
Word. That's what's up. How's that been going along?
Oh my God, I'm over it. Because it's just like, I had to do Zoom calls we had to be on Zoom for 4 hours.
Ugh.
That's a lot.
Yeah,
So from 6 to 10 at night.
I'm gonna try not to keep you on Zoom that long, but
Oh no, you're fine. Trust me,
okay.
4 hours compared to an hour, I can do that.
Hey, cool. You like it? I love it. Um, yeah, I just remember that for the longest time we've been friends for a while, and then obviously, I remember when you had transitioned from Charleston to Columbia, actually. And that summer that your daughter was born, I happened to be working in Columbia at the same
Mm-hmm.
time with my internship. Um, it's really hard to imagine that it's been that long ago because I'm just thinking to myself, I'm like, yo,
I
we are pushing
know.
30, so yeah, that was when we were 21. Wow.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
Yeah, yeah, yes, ma'am,
But
indeed.
I don't miss Charleston at all.
Mm.
I don't. I
I
love my
miss my
family.
friends and I miss my mom and my family, but as for the city itself,
No.
I,
No. It's like somebody could pay me. Or no, let me take it back. Somebody could buy a house for me in Charleston and say, "Oh yeah, you could stay there rent free, mortgage free." I still wouldn't move back.
no.
I still wouldn't do it.
I said I would come back to Charleston when I retired. Unless push
I'm not
came to
even doing
shove.
that.
Hey, I mean, I know that you wouldn't. For me, I'd
Mm-mm.
really have to be like, okay, either it has to be an emergency,
Right.
or like I'm at my very, very wits end and I have no choice but to come back, or again, retirement. That's like the really only ways I'm coming back to Charleston. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, and mainly I went back, of course, this past Labor Day because I did get a little homesick, only because like I really missed my mom, and I think the
Yeah.
pandemic really just made me really, really concerned about her, my brother, and my dad, and my grandparents. So I'm like, I need to come home. I just need to see them, if nothing else. So,
Yeah. I was kind of there, but then I mean, think about it with the quarantine. I wasn't quarantined like everybody else because I was
mhm.
still working every day.
Oh, I was too.
So yeah, so I wasn't at home because I'm a nanny, so I still was going to my family's house,
Hmm.
and then with school being out, that was a lot, and then I was pregnant, and I was like, oh my god, I'm about to lose my mind.
Ah,
So once they said school was out indefinitely, I definitely sent Riley to South Carolina.
okay.
She was gone for 4 months. Of course, she was able to do school virtually there, whatever, and it gave time for my family to spend with her, whatever, because my family didn't know I was pregnant at the time.
Hmm.
So, it gave them time to spend with her because I was like, once she gets back and school's in, I'm not doing all this driving. Like, because this drive from Atlanta to Charleston is 5 hours. And
Yeah.
no, mm-mm.
Yeah, I don't blame you. Look, that's why I don't go home often because I'm 6.5 hours away from Charleston. I'm like,
Oof.
yeah.
Never be at home. I'm telling
Yeah.
you. They would never catch me there. They'll probably catch me there once or twice a year.
Well, I am going back there for Christmas only because
Mm-mm.
I haven't got a chance to spend enough time with them this year, and we're not doing Thanksgiving because actually they're doing a small Thanksgiving, but I'm not doing that only because
Mm-hmm.
the very next week after Thanksgiving, I actually have to have surgery on my sinuses. So
Ooh.
yeah, you remember how bad my sinuses were. So it
Oh,
got
I
to the
do.
point when I got to Virginia, they got worse. And when I
Yeah.
went to the ENT, I pretty much talked to them. I said, "Hey, so what are the options here?" Because I kept getting like major headaches, and I thought something was wrong up here when all
Mm-hmm.
in my head, but obviously it was my sinuses. And they were like, "Yes, we can either you can be on pills, nasal, sprays and whatnot for the rest of your life." I'm like, that's probably gonna happen anyway. But what are some more like solutions? Like, what about allergy shots? I said, look, I've never been one to been afraid of the needle, but doing that every so often, nah, there's got to be
Yeah,
something
that
else.
could be a lot.
Right. So they were like, well, what about surgery? I said, well, how much is it? Well, we'll talk to it about, with your health insurance and whatnot. I said, okay. She came up and said, well, you haven't met your deductible yet, but it's like around $800. I'm like, I can do that. Like me and my
Yeah,
family can
that's
put
not
our heads
bad.
together and do that, and I can get that taken care of. That's no problem. If it means getting some relief and getting my septum
Hmm.
realigned, then by all means, because
Yeah, for
I,
sure.
yeah, it's worth it in my opinion. And then on top of that, I don't plan on staying in Virginia that much longer anyway. Trying to look at my options. Maybe I'm thinking Atlanta would probably be like the short term. I want to get out to Texas, honestly.
Oh my God, I wanted to go to Texas too. I want to go to Dallas or like the Fort Worth area so bad.
Yeah.
Like living out there is so much cheaper than anything on the East
Mm-hmm.
Coast at this point. So,
Yeah. Me and Houston have a really good relationship apparently because every time I go there, I have a absolute ball. I'm like, yo, if I'm having fun here, I need to be here. Like, somebody get me out here like
yeah.
soon. So,
Yeah, that's how I was with Atlanta.
yeah,
Now I'm over it.
well, I feel that. Uh, Hopefully, we'll see what happens within the next year or so. It'll probably
Yeah.
be because I said I wanted to be back down south, well, further down south, because I guess Virginia is still technically the South, but whatever.
Hmm.
But yeah, I definitely wanted to like at least get out and because I don't like spending a lot of time in one place, and I've literally spent 11 years here in Virginia, so I'm like, yeah, it's time to go.
Yeah, no, I feel you.
So, um, other than that, I know that you have spoken about being a nanny. So how has that been, and what made you get started doing that?
Oh my gosh. Well, I've always worked with kids, especially when we was at church. I was in the daycare room,
Right.
working and helping. But I've been a nanny for almost 5 years now,
Okay.
and I love it. Well, I did love it. I'm starting to like lose my passion with it just because I'm ready to really. My mind is really dead set on starting in real estate,
Mm-hmm.
so it's venturing away from that mindset of like a nanny all the time. But I mean, of course, I love my job. I love the kids that I watch. Families, all the families have been great. So, and I mean, with being a nanny, it's good flexibility, especially with being a single mom. Like it's, on schedule with my daughter's school schedule.
Mm-hmm.
And so I got my weekends are free. So that's great. Like, I think that's like the best part of it all. And, I get paid every week, stuff like that. So, but no, I love it. I love it.
Cool. 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 When we were talking about as far as moving, I did want to ask like what made you want to go to Atlanta in the first place, other than the fact that you had a ball the first time. But what were some other motivating
Ooh.
factors behind the move?
Well, it was two things that made me come to. Well, three things. Number one, my daughter, she has two older sisters that
Mm-hmm.
live here in Georgia, and so I wanted them to be closer with each other and all that good stuff. And then just I was just ready to get out of South Carolina,
Mm-hmm.
just as a whole. Because getting out of Charleston, okay, yeah, moving to Columbia, being there for 4 years, that's just like Charleston.
Well.
Basically, just a little bit bigger. And then at the time, I was in a relationship and we would always meet here in Atlanta. And I was like, okay, I'm tired of this doing this 3.5 hour drive, once, twice a month. I'm just like, I'm just going to move down here. Because at the time, Riley was only 3. So she wasn't, in the committed school yet.
Mm-hmm.
So, her moving down here should have been able to start pre K, and starting her little school life. So it was, actually perfect timing. My lease was up at the time that I moved. So I was like, well, instead of renewing it, I might just move. So, and I've been here 4.5 years, and it's been tough and within those 4.5 years, but I love it though. It's still so much I haven't done, and I've been here for 4.5 years. So
Hey, that's what's up. That's what's up. Um, so let's talk a little more about, I guess, once you did eventually get to Atlanta, some of
mhm.
the things that you've been, I guess, taking interest in as far as what Atlanta had to offer. Again, you said that you were getting into real estate, and of course you're a nanny, but are there other things that are currently that you're thinking about, having your hand in?
Say that one more time. I didn't hear the last part.
Oh, okay. I was saying, like, are there other things that you also have your hand in as well while you're in Atlanta? Like, are there any other business ventures or things that you're doing?
I mean, yes and no, just because it's a struggle being a single mom in a city where you don't have a lot of friends or family.
Mm-hmm.
So I've really been focusing on being the perfect mom, because living in Colombia, I was going through so much with my daughter's sperm donor. I wasn't focused on her like I needed to.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had, my in-home child care business and, things like that. So moving here, with no friends, no family, I was able to focus on her much more than I had been in the past, which I wasn't neglecting my kid. I don't want to, come out like that, but I didn't put all the effort that I needed to put into her once she got to be like 3. She was going to school and I was still doing in-home childcare at the house. So it was like a whirlwind, and then like my relationship was playing a part, stress, depression, like it was just a lot. So moving here brought on to where I was able to do more one-on-one time with her, focus on her, me and her have more mommy and daughter things, doing stuff like that. So now that she's older, she doesn't want to do half of that stuff anymore. Mm-hmm. She just wants to be on her phone and on her computer and watching TV and YouTube and stuff. So I'm trying to get her back into, doing mommy and me stuff, but she don't ever want to do it. To a certain extent.
I got you. Well, I mean, she is 8 years old now, so I know that she's going to be taking some interest in some different things. 28. Well, I mean, I don't know anything about having kids yet, but
wait. I tell anybody, wait, please. If you can wait, not wait too long, but if you can wait until you're 1000% ready, please wait. Because I was 21 when I had her. I didn't know what life was after that.
I got you. Hey, look, we pushing 30 now, and I still don't have kids. I'm like, well, I'll get there when I get there. But
yeah, you got time.
Yeah.
I mean, it's different for everybody, of course. Right. If I could have waited, I would have waited. But having her at a young age gives me time to have more kids. Still at a young age.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be 35 with a 3-month-old. But but even if I am, I already have experience with a child, because I already have a child now. But no, if I could have waited, I definitely would have waited.
I got that.
But I love my little miracle baby, because that's exactly what she is. Mm-hmm. So. But honestly, I wouldn't even change anything, because she's definitely made me a much stronger woman, because back then I was not that person. So she's definitely changed me for the better.
And that's always good to hear. Sometimes the biggest blessings comes in the things that you least expect.
Ooh, honey, do it.
Yeah. Hey, so, and if my life is anything, there were certain things that I know I didn't expect, but when those blessings came, they definitely, put me back on the right track.
Look at you now, you're doing a whole podcast.
Yeah, I'm saying.
You wouldn't think 2005 you would be doing a podcast 15 years later. I honestly wouldn't think that.
I honestly didn't even see myself doing this, and I think I took a cue from one of my drumline brothers in college. They were like, "Man, why aren't you doing like radio or on the news or something? Like, I know you wanted to do business, and I know you're in theater, but he was like, why didn't you ever think about doing something like that?" And I'm like, you know what? I never thought about it. But I mean, hey, the time came around, and I've actually been planning this for a few years now. It just so happened I didn't have my feet under me until I turned 27 and found a new job and was able to get more funds underneath. So now I'm like, okay, I'm good now. Like, I'm in a good spot. I'm in a good place. And, there's room for more improvement, obviously, but I'm not like struggling, wondering if I have to move back to South Carolina or anything. I don't have to worry about that anymore, at least not for the time being. So
Yeah, I want to do it. I just gotta find the time and like a person that I would want to do it with.
right.
Like I want to do it. Like a lot of people have like the couple shows, whatever. Like I want to have. Me and my best friends actually were talking about doing like a long time ago. We just never ended up doing it. And see, he's a gay guy, so I feel like that would be the perfect yin and yang. Because I'm a straight woman, he's a gay guy.
That would be hilarious.
Right.
I can imagine that dynamic.
Hella funny.
Yeah.
So it's like I'm gonna talk to him about it, but I would probably want us to like do it or do like a couple of episodes to see how it would go. But yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna try it out one of these days.
And if you get started, I'm gonna support no matter what.
Of course. Just like you got my honey shirt on. I love that.
Hey, yes ma'am, yes ma'am. Tell me a little more about if you're doing anything specifically with the Rye Media Company.
No, I don't dabble in that.
Okay.
I support him, and I promote him. And anytime that I speak to somebody about, if they're, being an entrepreneur, I, put them in contact with him, or vice versa, because he's got a business partner. So I, leave that all to them. But anytime I'm talking to somebody and they need photography done or a video done or a short film done, of course I'm going to promote, his business 1000%. Because I've seen the ups and downs, just not even from the business, just from him, being an actor. I've seen the blood, sweat, and tears he's put into his craft and, things like that. So I always support anything he has to do. Because he's good at what he does. I'll definitely say that when he puts his mind to something, he sticks to it. So I'm very proud of him for that.
Yeah, that's good to hear. Quick question: how did you and Rob meet? I've never heard this story.
It's so funny. Well, first we met on Twitter.
Okay.
2010. I don't know how we ended up following each other or what, but we ended up following each other. It was those Twitter after dark days.
Oh man, look. Twitter from 2009 to 2011.
Oh my God, listen. I got a hold of Twitter now, so I can't go back to the old things. But
yeah.
Those were some good times. But we would always like flirt with each other, back and forth, and then got each other's number. And then we were supposed to meet up New Year's Eve in Atlanta, but we both got drunk, so that didn't happen. And then I want to say 2013, I was in Auburn, and he at the time didn't live far from there. So we actually like met each other in person and like talked for like hours. And then it's crazy because we like would hit each other up every once in a while after that. And then 2015, I don't even remember how we even got on the phone, but I remember he was going to pick up his daughter, and I was in Charleston at the time, and we were just on the phone until he, went to go pick her up, and then we just never, got off the phone. Like we were just texting and called each other every day. So yeah, he's one of the reasons why I definitely moved to Atlanta. But we've gone through a whole lot. But regardless of if we're together or if we're not together, I'm always going to support him and what he does. Like he's great at what he does. He's always going to be my honey regardless. That's my best friend. So, but yeah, no matter what, I always support him, what he does, because he's very passionate about his company, of course, because it's named after both of his kids. So yeah, he's in love with it, and I'm in love that he's in love with something like that. So
hey, that's good to hear. I kind of found it funny that both of you guys have daughters named Riley.
Oh my God, yes. When we found that out, we were like, "What?" Yep, same same name, same spelling. They're the same age.
Mm,
They're 3 months apart, and they're an initial apart. So
interesting
yeah,
indeed.
it's crazy.
Well, I just thought that was a funny bit of irony in there. So, in regards to relationships, now I'm not the expert on this because I haven't been in a steady relationship since I was, let's see, I'm 29 now, since I was 19. So, just in your opinion, I guess what are some of the of if you're willing to talk about it, just some of the ups and downs that you went through, just being in a relationship
Ooh,
as it
honey.
stands.
Think about it is where can I start? I'm just gonna solely focus on him and I now or then relationship and possibly now relationship just because I don't associate with anybody before 2016.
Yep.
I don't know none of them.
Hey, I feel it.
Riley was made by Jesus. So but ups and downs, I mean, okay, I'm always gonna be a woman about mine. Think about it is I cheated on him.
Oh.
So it wasn't physical, but with anything that could possibly be something that you don't want your partner to do is considered cheating. So that happens. And of course, we broke up, moved from each other. But I mean, we always kept in touch with
Mm-hmm.
each other, but we weren't together. Not necessarily saying we're together now, but we're trying to work on things, as I should say. So we'll just, go with the flow, see how that goes. Outside of that, I can say for me, because I'm an Aries, so we're a very hot and fiery sign, and Aries women are very dominant. I don't know if you know a lot about astrology like that, but
Oh,
Aries
well,
women,
I've had my share of Aries
yeah,
women. I'm just gonna leave it at that.
and and so we're very dominant. We like things to go our way, and if it doesn't go our way, basically all hell's freaking loose.
Mm.
So I'm I'm working on it, but I've definitely have had a really bad attitude problem. But I will say, out of anybody that I could have possibly dealt with prior to 2016, has never put me in my place like he has.
Mm.
So yeah, that's probably one of the things that I actually love about him is that he'll set me straight when I need to be set straight when it's necessary. Sometimes I don't like it, but sometimes it's needed. Like he's the only person that has ever done it. So, but yeah, my attitude has been pretty bad over the years. I'll definitely say that. So it's being worked on at a great deal.
And,
So
and look, I mean, look, we've both grown and we've both have seen like the changes, not only just on on your end but mine as well. But hey, look, I understand. I know that just from our friendship, just not even from a relationship standpoint, just from a friendship standpoint, I can see how hot blooded you can really get when it comes to certain things. So
yeah,
I always knew like there were times where I would have to step in and say, hey Danny, chill out, chill out, chill out. Or sometimes I'd just be like, you know what, I'm gonna back off and just, let you get your
yeah.
anger out and I'll just be
It'll
a
be
listening
times where
ear.
I'm just ready to throw hands.
Yeah.
I don't even ask questions. I'm just ready to fight you. So,
So
but I haven't. I haven't done that in a long time. Let's thank God on that.
right.
But yeah, I can definitely say with dealing with him over the last 5.5 years because it's been that long. I've definitely changed a lot about myself than I thought I would. Not just changing for him, but just changing within myself because I'm getting older. I have a child that's looking at me. certain things I need to say, certain things I need to do, certain ways I don't need to act because she's watching me. So I don't want her to go around sassing everybody else because she hears mommy sassing somebody. So I've had to like take a step back on evaluating my attitude, assumptions, just going off for no reason, yelling, screaming, cursing, doing all of that stuff. I had to like switch it up. Not saying you can't get this good holy cuss out, but only when it's really, necessary to do. So I've cut back on that, and it's gotten cut back too because I've cut a lot of people off.
Right.
Like I'm not friends. I'm not friends with half the people that we used to go to church with. Like Selena, we're no longer friends.
Oh.
Kim, we're no longer friends. Like, that group from the church. I don't even talk to half of them like that anymore. Of course, me and Adrian always gonna be there. I love her to death.
Yeah.
But like, like my best friends growing up, no, we're not friends anymore. And it wasn't necessarily tough for me to just let them go, but you reach a point in your life to where you gotta see who's there for you and who ain't. And some things were portrayed as that they weren't, and so I just had to let them go. And honestly, I don't want the friendship back. Like I wish them well in life. I wish anybody that I don't talk to well in life, I'll never, want to tear anybody down because I'm not about to go to hell for that.
Right.
But, I wish everybody well in life, but we just grew apart.
It happens. It happens.
Yeah.
So to my audience, really quickly, we're going to take just a brief break here. Don't move. We will be right back. What's good, everybody? I hope you're enjoying today's episode. So before I continue on to the next segment, just hear me out really quickly. I did want to talk about a media company that I want to promote. So I have a friend down here in Atlanta who put me on to this dude. His name is Rob Madden. And of course, he has a media company called Rye Media Company. I've checked out a couple of his skits, a couple of his short films and feature films that he's doing right now in Atlanta. And can I say, dude is talented. Dude has range, and he aspires to be, of course, a great actor, which, of course, he's inspiring me to do the same. So with that, I did want you all to go and check him out. You can follow him on Instagram and Snapchat as well as on Twitter at I am Rob Madden, and Madden is spelled exactly how you would figure it would be spelled, just like the football game. So go to Instagram, Twitter, and Snapchat and follow him at I am Rob Madden. You can also really find his media company on YouTube, and that's at Rye Media Company. So whenever you go to YouTube, just be sure that you look for Rye Media Company. Check out his videos. Check out all of his short films and feature films. Check out his skits. Dude is extremely talented. Also, be sure that you follow him up so that way you can purchase a shirt through his media company. Of course, he has the Rye Media Company and Rob Madden Made It shirts. Again, be sure that you check out his media company on YouTube at Rye Media Company and follow him on Instagram, Twitter, and on Snapchat at I am Rob Madden. And you can also find him on Facebook as well. Go out and support Black business, support Black artists, and continue to support Black actors. All right, so back towards our conversation in regards to relationships. So again, I've been pretty much out of the loop for a few years as far as like, I'm not gonna say as far as dating, it's just being in a committed relationship. And just in your eyes, what do you think is like one of the most important things that people should focus on while in a relationship?
Communication. Because so many things can get misconstrued. Like if like for me, I rather talk in person than to text about it because in that text message, you don't know what my tone is
Right.
when I say something, or you don't know what I could be trying to say, in the message. So communication for sure. That has always been a big thing for me
Mm-hmm.
because I'm an over communicator, which I might need to try to scale back from. But it's like if I'm feeling something, if I have a problem with something, I have to tell you. Like holding it in only builds up more issues to me. And I've done that, with some of my past relationships, and then even with the relationship that I'm in now, sometimes I wouldn't say something just because I was afraid of the other person's reaction to it. But
Mm-hmm.
it's like now, I mean, if you're gonna react to it, you're just gonna react to it. But at least at the end of the day, I feel better about getting it off my chest because me holding it in and it keeps piling on and piling on and piling on. When we do get into a discussion, it's all gonna come out at once. And then now I'm blowing up on you, and I could be saying something wrong, and then we're even in a bigger blow up because I let it build up for so long. So I try to, when I feel something or I have an issue with something, I try to get my words together and then talk about it. And nothing I'm trying not to do is talk when I'm angry,
Mm-hmm.
because that has definitely been a big thing for me. So I try to not talk while I'm angry and blow up and stuff like that. Like my guy now, which I hate it, but I see why he does it. Like if he feels like we're gonna get to an argument or whatever, he'll be like, "I'm just gonna talk to you tomorrow." And I hate it because we'd be in the middle of a conversation and he'd be like, "No, I'm just gonna talk to you tomorrow. Have a good night," or whatever have you. And I can't stand it, but I see why he does it because he's not a argumentative person.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I used to be. So we're not. He's not the type to go back and forth with anybody. So sometimes that be an issue for me because I'm like, if I have something to say, I need to say it now because I'm not going to bring today's problems to tomorrow.
I got
I'd
you.
rather deal with it at one time now and then be over it tomorrow because the lingering on, I can't stand it. So, but no, communication for sure. That has to be in the top three in a relationship to me.
Got you. It's funny that you brought that up because that kind of sounds like it kind of sounds similar to me. I'm more of the person though, like knowing how I am, like if to avoid, like if I know that the argument is going to get out of hand, then I'll be like, all right, we got to stop this. We'll just come back to it later. Go to bed, cool off. Cooler heads will prevail. Now, if it's one of those like arguments where we can keep a level head, then I'll sit there and I'll listen and make sure that both sides are heard. At least considering from the last situationship that I was in, that's what I tried to do. It's like, all right, say what you got to say, make your points and whatnot, and then we'll see if we can like come to a consensus or a compromise. But if I know that it's gonna make a left turn real quick, I'd be like, oh, pump the brakes. We getting a little too heated. Let's come back down. Let's go back to our corners. Let's figure this out tomorrow. So, but that's just from my vantage point. I can't speak for every dude out there. I don't know how anybody like handles their relationships or how they are when communicating with their significant other. But I just know that that's me personally. I'm a Taurus. I'm stubborn, but at the same time I'm relaxed and I can keep a cool head. And I grew into that, just learning how to be like just chill and not let situations get the better of me. Though sometimes I know that I have and still do have a bad problem sometimes bottling up my anger. Just like don't let it go, don't let it go, don't let it go, don't let it go. And then it'll be that one thing that'll push me over the edge. And then it's like, oh, well, nope, firecrackers lit and it's exploding now. So, but from that, other than communication, I wanted to throw kind of a curveball question here.
Oh
in
goodness.
in episode 8, I had a talk with my friend Amma,
Hmm.
and Amma believes that women were a lot better at having sex than men. So I have to ask, what is your opinion on that?
Okay, what did he say?
No, so this is a she. She was like, she believes that women were better at sex and more sexual beings than men were in her
Oh yeah,
eyes.
I agree
That
with that.
so okay. And I had to ask, like, what how do you view that viewpoint, or what's your opinion, or what's your take on that?
I mean, because with women, we we're more compassionate and
Mm-hmm.
you know passionate in sexual activity, especially if it's somebody that we're madly in love with.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you're gonna see everything. Like we're pulling out every trick in the book possible,
Oh.
stuff like that. But I feel like with men, because men can have sex with a girl and have no feelings for her.
Mm-hmm.
And they're just getting a nut off. Not saying women don't do it either, because it's definitely happened. But most of the time, okay, most of the time when they say when men cheat, it's not emotional. But when women cheat, it's emotional.
Mm-hmm.
So it's always that one factor, that emotional factor when it comes to sex that can, be different from a man and a woman.
I see. Yeah, she had made a point about that, just saying that she really does like view sex as an actual transfer of energy, which it is true.
Oh
Um,
God, yes.
but yeah, I kind of wanted to, I guess, get another opinion on that because we had talked about it extensively, and I'm like, well, wait a minute, what do you mean by that? And when she broke it down about that transfer of energy, of how you said that there's more compassion and there's more feelings involved, and that's why a lot of times when when the old
You
folks used to
definitely need
talk
to
to
do
us
a
about,
Zoom with her.
you say what? Yeah,
I
I'll
said we
probably get
definitely need to
her.
have her on.
Yeah, I'll probably get her
We
on.
need to tag team that.
Just I'll get her on one of these other days because I told her that we needed to have another interview and talk about this too. Because
Mm-hmm.
I'm learning as I go. Granted, every person that I've had an interaction with, I've always had at least some kind of feeling for. I've unfortunately never had like
Yeah.
one night stands where I could just be like, oh, I'm just going, get a nut off, and then at that point, go about my business. Like every person that I've had a connection with, it was always like, okay, now I'm connecting with this person. I think that something could work. There have been times where the feeling might have died afterwards, I guess, and I think I've noticed that a lot of dudes have that same issue. Is like you have sex with a person, you just like, I don't think it was there. I don't think that connection
Mm-hmm.
was there, or the connection that you thought was there, it wasn't there afterwards. So
Right.
I have been in that vantage point before, so I can totally see that. But I definitely do believe in the transfer of energy because look, some of the people that I've had relationships with, if they ever, for whatever reason, if we ever got back together again, I doubt it. But if it happened, for me, it's just like, okay, well, I mean, if it happens, it happens. If it don't, it don't. But
Right.
yeah. Something else in regards to relationships. So the fact that you like both have children, um,
Mm-hmm.
what were some of the things that were holding you guys together? Knowing that you both had to be parents at the same time.
Um. Well, I definitely want to say he's a wonderful father because he loves that little girl to no end.
Mm.
Like he loves his daughter. And it's so crazy because with Riley, when I think Riley's more in love with him than I am.
Mm.
Like I trust me, that's my baby and everything. But with Riley, she loves him. Like the if she hears his voice or knows he's coming over, he's here. Like she's also like jittery and so excited to see him, and I love it. Like he does what he has to do with her. as a father figure aspect.
Mm-hmm.
But oh, that's a tough question because it really didn't matter, what he had to do or, even what he has to do when it comes to his daughter, he's dropping everything.
Mm.
So but I mean, it's different because my child is here with me all the time and his isn't. So it's kind of a hard question to answer just because they're so far apart.
Mm-hmm.
But when he's with her, that's all it is.
I see. I see. Well, I'll get there when I get there. I suppose that's something to look forward to.
Like I
But
said, wait, trust me.
yeah, I'll trust me. Trust me. I'm in no rush right now. Um, I guess the main reason I asked that question because I know that in some cases you have we see this on Facebook all the time. As a matter of fact, I saw a post from someone who was just like, okay, well, if she has one kid, he was okay with still talking to her, but like if she had multiple, he was like, no, 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 thank you. So
Yeah.
I have to ask, like, when you were, um, I'm not even gonna say in the field, but just before you got together the first time, like, were there any indications that the dudes that you might have talked to in the past, like, were they turned off by the fact that you had a daughter?
Um, no, because when Riley was, I mean, while I was pregnant, I was dealing with somebody, and he knew I was pregnant. And of course, the child wasn't his. We
Mm-hmm.
haven't even had relations then either. So, but um, at the time, he was playing the daddy role. But no, because even after him, that's when me and my situation now got together. So it didn't
Mm.
even leave any room for anybody to come in between to be like, oh, you have a child, blah, 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 blah. I don't know if I can deal with that or whatever. But that was another thing that drew me to my guy now because he has a daughter and, he has that father mentality
Mm-hmm.
that my daughter needs to see. Even regardless if we stay together, if we don't stay together, that's always going to be her father figure. She doesn't, call him dad or anything like that, but he's set that example for her. Like we go places and she's like, "Oh, mommy, you know, I can't be on the side of the road because if a car hits me, I'm gonna die." And I was like, "Where'd you learn that from?" And she'll say him. Or she was like, it was one time we were going somewhere. She's like, "Are you gonna open the door for me?" And I'm like, "No." She was like, "Well, he does." I said, "Well, yes, because he's a man. He's supposed to open the door or the woman." So, she picks up on small things like that. So, and I love it. But but no, that was one thing. One of the things that drew me to him was because he's got that family feel,
Mm-hmm.
with his family and with his daughter. So I know if we were to have kids together, he's gonna be in love with them.
Awesome. Awesome to hear. Um, I definitely appreciate you sharing like some of your knowledge here in regards to relationships and whatnot, because I think that the more information I get, of course, and it's not just for me. I know it's for listeners as well, but for me, this is still a process for me too, because I'm getting to the age now where I'm like, okay, what do I need to focus on as a as a man now? Because I'm a grown ass adult at this point, so I know the things that we
Mm-hmm.
did as teenagers and shit, we definitely can't do as pushing 30. So it's like,
Right.
okay, so I'm in a space now where I'm recognizing that the things that I've done in the past, or things that I've the way that I've acted in the past, is definitely not, it's going to be frowned upon now that you're at this point a young adult. So learning these things is always, for me, has been a joy and a pleasure, and definitely hearing different perspectives on what to expect. Because I'm just gonna be honest, at this point, I'm expecting to run into um, women who are not, maybe 5 times out of 10, they're probably gonna have a child. So
Yeah.
I want to be sure that I'm prepared for that. And if it gets down the line where I become a stepdad, then hey, cool. I want to be sure that I'm ready for that. But it's good hearing that perspective, because it means that okay, well, he was already in daddy mode, but me with no kids, I just want to be sure that I am ready to step in and accept that role. Now I'm mature enough to step into that role if it happens at all. So
Yeah. My thing to that is like I'm pretty sure 9 times out of 10 somebody that you meet is gonna have a child. But what I would say is if you can meet somebody that at least has a decent relationship with the opposite parent,
mm-hmm.
because that can cause a rift. Like with his daughter's mom, like the whole time we were together, her and I never spoke or like anything like that.
Mm.
So we spoken, recently, like I think it was like last year, whatever. Like I don't have any issues with her or nothing like that. And I love his daughter. She's just like him, literally down to the face. But I wish that her and I would have spoken while we were actually like together and living together, because I would rather have that relationship, just because number one, I don't want to be anybody's mother but Riley Alexandria.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. So I'm not trying to be anybody's stepmom or whatever, but if your child is with their father and I'm around, I'm going to make sure that I treat that child like they're my own, just like I do with the kids that I watch every day. I just don't watch these kids. Like I'm basically a second mom to them.
Mm-hmm.
So I treat them like they're my kids. Like I have car seats in my car because that's just how close I get with the family and how close I get with the kids. But you would want to meet somebody that has at least a decent relationship with the opposite parent, because it can be tough when they don't. So
Okay. All right. Well, I definitely appreciate you coming on here, Danny. I know we talked about it for a number of weeks, and I'm glad I was finally able to get you on here. So with that, I'm gonna sign off in the next segment. But do you have any black-owned business or any company that you want to shout out? Of course, the obvious one, but were there any others that you wanted to shout out, especially in the Atlanta area?
Let's see. I have to go through a list.
Oh, hey, that's what I like to see in you.
Friends, that do business or whatever. But of course, my main one is my honey's business, Ride Media Company. Follow, like, share, subscribe. Hit him up for pictures, videos, everything that you could possibly think of under the sun. Let's see. Who else? It's so much people. Well, first, if anybody wants to follow me, KJ will put all my social media where it needs to go.
Indeed.
Not. I mean, I do and I don't. It's just a lot of people, but anybody that I support is always being shared on my pages, always in my stories. Always around to see. I always recommend makeup artists, hair artists, dance artists, stuff like that, because I do all of that stuff. So it'll be around.
Sounds good. Sounds good. To my audience, of course, I will put your social media info into the episode description. But of course, be sure that you guys follow her on Instagram at Miss Alesa Danielle. Alesa is spelled Alesa, and it's all one word. So Miss Alesa Danielle, please don't forget that. Also, you are on Twitter. I know that we've been kind of, I guess, a little calmer on Twitter. I'm still kind of reckless on there, but still.
Yeah.
Be sure that you guys follow her on Twitter at Miss Alesa Danielle. Same thing. And of course, if you have any questions for her, or if you have any questions for me to ask her, because I will have her again in the near future.
Please.
And we will continue to talk about this, because again, in the field of relationships, just not only in romantic relationships, but also in friendships. There's so many factors that you have to factor in when talking to different people, as we've come to find out not only these last couple of years, but just for me in the last couple of days, you sometimes find out things about friends that you did not know about. And that's kind of, as we talked about before we started recording, that kind of irked my soul a little bit. But nevertheless, guys, once again, Alesa, thank you for joining me. I really, really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, ma'am.
Definitely want to do this again soon.
We definitely will. Definitely will. To my audience, don't move. I am going to sign off. So there you have it, folks. That was the interview that I had with Miss Alesa Danielle. Hopefully, we will get to have her on this platform again soon, very soon. So at this point in time, of course, I'm going to go ahead and sign off for this episode. Once again, big shout out to Law and to NASA. They were, of course, not on this episode, but they will be on future episodes. As always, those are my co-hosts. I appreciate them. I love them. They know that I got mad love for them. Also, again, to Miss Alesa Danielle, thank you for coming on to this platform and joining me. It's been a minute since we actually had sat down and talked. So this whole experience was definitely heartwarming for me, especially because I haven't talked to you in so long. So once again, I definitely appreciate her coming on to this platform. Be sure once again that you go check out NASA. Check out Welcome to the Station. Be sure that you also check out RJ Stackhouse's projects, Self-Care and Self-Harm. Be sure that you like, share, and subscribe to the Chaotic Culture Podcast Facebook page. Follow us on Instagram at Chaotic Culture Pod. Follow us on Twitter at Chaotic_Culture. Once again, you can follow all three of us on Instagram. Be sure that you follow NASA at _CallMeNasa for Instagram and Twitter. For Law, you can follow him on Instagram at L.JR_96 and on Twitter at Law96_. And once again, you can follow me on both Instagram and Twitter at K3D the Pro. We'll be sharing some more content on our Facebook page, of course. You'll see a few more flyers here and there. But just be on the lookout for some new episodes. We got some big episodes coming up and some big plans for the next season. I appreciate you guys that have been listening to me thus far. No matter how big or how small my support is, the more listeners that I get, the more appreciative that I am. But I'm still just thankful for the voices that are hearing this podcast right now. You guys truly keep me going. And hopefully, we will continue to do that here. We will continue to spread the word. We will continue to fight for Black businesses, for other Black podcasters. And of course, just remember that all lives can't matter until Black lives matter. Big shout out to Charvon, Sappy, and my boy Ty. They actually have a podcast of their own that they just started, Relatable versus Debatable. Definitely check it out. Also check out my boy Trey at The Session 757. Be sure that you follow them on Instagram as well. Very dope creator, very personable, very funny. So, that being said, guys, this has been another edition of the Chaotic Culture Podcast, and this has been your host, Ked the Pro. Be blessed, be safe, God is love, peace. Thank you for joining us on this edition of the Chaotic Culture Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to like, share, and subscribe to our pod, and check out previous episodes as well. Go ahead and follow the Chaotic Culture Podcast page on Facebook and follow at Chaotic Culture Pod on Instagram. Also, be sure to follow our personal pages. You can follow Law on Instagram at L.JR_96 and myself, K3D the Pro, on Instagram and Twitter. Please also do us the courtesy and follow our featured artists and guests listed in the episode description. If you like this beat, follow at the RJ Stackhouse on Instagram and his Twitter page at RJ Stackhouse for more music and music-related content. I hope today's episode blessed your souls and stimulated your mind. Until next time, folks, remember, embrace the culture, survive the chaos. This has been Ked the Pro with Chaotic Culture Podcast. Be blessed, be safe. God is love. Peace.